The Dow Jones Industrial Average closing down nearly 2 points. We're still about 17 points away from Dow 13,000. The index, though, up 6% for the year. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, a gain of 2 points. A lot of that was Apple. So far this year, the S&P up 8.5%. The Nasdaq also moving higher, up nearly 7%. That's also Apple. It's up 14% so far this year. Let's take a look at total volume. U.S. stocks traded 5.8 billion shares. Let's look a quick look at the bond market. Let's look at the 10-year. There it goes, 1.98. And the long bond, yes, the 30-year, 3.10 to lend your money to Uncle Sam for 30 years. Crude oil prices continuing their rise, and that helped keep stocks lower today. Dow Jones Industrial Average just cannot seem to get hold of that 13,000 mark. Deborah Kostroun has the details from the New York Stock Exchange. Deborah.
Well, thanks a lot, Pimm. Yeah, the Dow couldn't hold on to 13,000, but we didn't close too far off of the unchanged mark as we closed out the trading day. But you have to remember that the market is at some pretty lofty levels right now. In fact, we are at levels we haven't seen since 2008. In fact, the S&P closing at the highest since 2008. The one thing that kind of limited the market today, we had some good economic reports, but the thing that really kind of limited us was crude oil. We saw crude oil hitting almost $110 a barrel. That is the highest price since last May. And of course, the big concern is that oil supplies out of Iran may be disrupted, Pimm.
Now, Deborah, the big concern always high oil prices, meaning higher prices at the pump for drivers. That could have an effect on consumers.
Right. So the energy prices, in fact, traders are saying that energy prices are kind of getting to the level where you would expect to start seeing consumer spending slow down. So if gas gets to $4 a gallon, the average consumer in America would spend just shy of $1,000 a year on gas. And that's actually one of the things that we heard from Procter & Gamble this week. They said they're letting go 5,700 people, and it was one of the reasons was consumers just aren't spending as much. And so if gas prices could potentially go even higher, that could have a bigger impact on consumers. Now, companies that rely on consumers were some of the biggest drags in today's session. Those consumer discretionary stocks like Gap, it was lower along with the financials. And take a look at for the week what we saw. Of course, the Dow hitting that 13,000 mark, didn't close there by the close on Friday, but if you take a look at for the week, we do have at least the Dow was up just slightly along with the S&P and the Nasdaq also just slightly. But remember, the Nasdaq still the year-to-date winner up 14%. That's it from here, Pimm. Now back to you.
Thank you very much. Deborah Kostroun reporting from the New York Stock Exchange.